So eventually I left finance. My mom was definitely not happy. In fact, she cut me off. And from that moment, I knew that I was on my own.
So this girl decided in order to pay for her Unisa fees, she needs to get something that will give her money quicker.
I remember complaining that I'm doing all of this for like not lots of money. I kind of opened myself up to like, actually, I wouldn't mind a new opportunity. So eventually I had to choose. I think I had 3 offers. The other one, the actual director of the company actually DM'd me on LinkedIn. I used to code every single day.
Today we are having tea with Utsanelo, who is a self-taught software developer, but she dropped out of UJ from BCom economics degree. She's got about 4 years of experience. But today's video, guys, the main focus is going to be around a project, all right? And towards the end of the video, you will find her portfolio. Her portfolio is going to be part of this video. Let's welcome Tsenolo, and I hope you will find value from this episode. Tsenolo, tell us, how did you drop out of BCom? You were doing BCom economics and econometrics.
Yes.
It sounds like something that is very serious. But how did you drop? Why did you drop out?
So I think it goes back to like my childhood interests and hobbies. So I was a child that was very nerdy. My dad didn't let me play with like dolls. My dad always used to buy me like scientific nerdy toys. I got my first computer when I was like 13. So I've always been like I used to play with Legos. So I've always been very like critical thinking, problem solving type of girl. But then at that time, it was during like the CA era, you know, when every black mother wanted their kid to be in finance. So I guess my mom won. It's like, I think you should just try and be a CA or like in the finance and banking. So I was like, okay. And at that time, I didn't have any science. I didn't do science in high school. So a lot of the the universities that were looking for computer science students, you had to have science. So I was like, I don't have a choice but to do, finance. So I gave it a shot. From the first lecture, I just knew that this is not going to work. But also, I just knew that I wanted this degree for the sake of my mom. But during that time as well, I was still self-teaching. I remember my first language I learned was Python. So I was still learning. Yes, so I was still learning. And then I had tech ideas. Like I've always had like problem solving. I remember there was an idea that I wanted to solve that was in tech, right? But I didn't know how to code. And I feel like it was a hindrance. So I'm like, in order for me to achieve, I really need to learn how to code. So the more I taught myself how to code, the more I realized that I want to do finance at all. So eventually I left finance. My mom was definitely not happy. In fact, she cut me off. So that's the story. She cut
Wait, no, just hold on. So
Yes.
while you were doing your first year in BCom, right? So BCom economics and econometrics, right?
Correct.
So while you were there, you knew you don't like this, and then you were busy playing around with coding on the side. Before you even left, you knew that, okay.
Yes.
So did you left the first year or it was second year? Did you do second year or you didn't even touch it?
The third year. Going to the third year. So I was made for the third year. And I was miserable. Like I was literally not like I was literally depressed because I knew that I was doing something that was not going to fulfill me, and yet I had this one thing that I really, really, really enjoyed, and it was something that I really have always had interest in as a child. So it was a very tough decision. Like I said, it was also tough for my mom, my parents. Like my mom cut me off completely because she felt wasting her money, and so it was a very tough decision. And from that moment, I knew that I was on my own.
Which university was this? Which university was this? UJ.
Okay, so I dropped out to pursue obviously a career in software development, but I also still wanted to pursue a degree or at least have some sort of formal qualification, right? So while I'm still coding, but I also had to pay for those tuition fees. And like I said, my mom had cut me off. So I figured that while I'm still learning how to code, let me learn web development to pay off my fees. So web development is basically JavaScript, yeah, that like
Mm-hmm.
build web apps. So I picked that
Mm-hmm.
up quickly, and because I already learned Python, which is another programming language, picking up JavaScript was not that hard. So I just literally built websites. I would get random people on Instagram, friends of friends, and I would just build really
Okay.
small my tuition fees. And then during that time as well, I also got the chance to go to London for fun. Um,
Mm-hmm.
then I went to a couple of coding workshops. Back then, boot camps were not popular at all. I think it was like in
Right. Which year was this? Tenolo, can you give us paint a
2018.
picture for us? Which year was this when you moved to London? When you were visiting London?
It was 2018, so boot camps were not popular. I remember at that time, even in South Africa, there were no boot camps at all. So they were trying as much to recruit people into boot camps. So
Okay.
what they would have free workshops. And there was
Mm-hmm.
this up that was web development. So they would teach you how to build a website. So it was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They would teach you
Mm-hmm.
how to build a whole weekend. And because I had some
Mm-hmm.
sort of, I actually came out on top of the class per se. So
Okay.
I knew, so that was like a confirmation that this is like I should be doing this. Like I'm really good at this, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about also, like I said, I had already registered to study computer science, but then most universities don't teach web development. They focus on like OOPs, like your Java, C++, C Sharp. So when it came to web development, like your JavaScripts,
Mm-hmm.
web application languages, those mostly it's self-taught. So when I came back to South Africa, it was my time to come back to South Africa, and like I said, the modules that I was learning at school had nothing to do with what I was actually doing day to day.
So, Tenolo, after you've left, you were teaching yourself here online. Which platforms were you using to learn languages? Were you using YouTube? Were you using Coursera? Were you using Udemy?
Okay. So to teach myself, I used there was well, it's quite popular now, but back then I forgot how I found about it. But I used
Okay.
camp, FreeCodeCamp, right?
Okay.
But I mean, what I loved about FreeCodeCamp was that you could also practice what you coded. So after learning a certain section, they make you code
Mm-hmm.
what you project, right? So
Oh.
yes. So, but what really, really helped me as well was, and I was a bit overly ambitious. I'm an overachiever. So with each project, I would do more than what was required of me, right? And
Okay.
I remember the first project you had to build a tribute page on FreeCodeCamp,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I figured in order for me to enjoy this and to really learn, let me create a tribute page of someone that I actually look up to make it more creative, to make it more creative. I remember the tribute
Mm-hmm.
was about Basquiat, who's a French artist. No, sorry, he's not French. He's a famous painter. So I think I'm just very, very, very curious, right? Like I said, I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do required of me. I wanted to learn outside of just the scope. Then there was this website which still exists now. It's called Awards, AWWWARDS Awards, right? And this website is basically just showcases the best web applications in the world, right? And these were
Mm-hmm.
like, and unfortunately the design trends in Europe are far ahead of the design trends here. So I wanted to do what they were doing there because I felt like that's really
Okay.
learn, right? So for every project that I was required to do on Free Code Camp, I would try to mimic a project that was on awards. And that's really how I grew, how I learned new tools. I remember I learned how to use GSAP, which is like an animation library. That's how I learned how to use, like how I picked up all these new frameworks. It was literally just observing what they were doing on awards, and I would try to mimic it on the project that I was building. So instead of just building a normal Tribute page, I would go
Mm-hmm.
beyond assignments to really like test myself. And I remember, like for example, there would on awards there would be a section where I would have to use a carousel, which is like a UI component, and obviously there's no
Yes.
carousel on FreeCodeCamp. So I would Google on YouTube how to build a carousel to mimic what was being built there, and then on YouTube there
Mm-hmm.
were tutorials of how to build a carousel. So literally, I learned by just observing, Googling how to mimic. So if you want to learn how to code, the best way is to mark, like basically build existing websites. So if you're somebody who, I don't know, whatever interest it is, build something that will keep you motivated. Like I said, I built a tribute page of an artist that I was actually interested in, and that kind of like
Mm. Mm.
to do more, to add animations, to like build like complex components, and don't just
Mm.
it's like the normal weather app, notes app, to go beyond the scope. And in that way, if you like, I really want to add a curtain menu. You know that there's no curtain menu on FreeCodeCamp, right? Now you're forced to
Mm.
search how to build a curtain menu. Then there'll be all these tutorials on YouTube or wherever where now you have
No, that's true.
yeah,
Guys, please don't forget to like and share this video and leave any questions that you might have for Utsanol. So when you were building websites at Utsanol, how much were you making there? I know it was not a big website. We were working with SMMEs, like small businesses. How much were you making?
it was mainly individuals, and I was mainly building like profiles. So I started off quite small, right? Like
Okay.
I don't remember the pricing, but it wasn't like a lot to like live off. But like
Okay.
for each and every project, like I said, I would just always do more. I don't know. Nice.
So no, tell us, before you went for a visit in London, were you already registered in Unisa? I think I didn't get that. Were you already registered with Unisa, or you were still just
I
teaching yourself on the internet?
was really registered, but I don't think school had started. Or I don't think school had started yet. But like I mentioned, but I do remember that what I was studying at Unisa had not like had nothing to do with what I actually was learning. So there was no web development in any of the courses that I was learning. So they were focusing on like I remember Java, C Sharp, C++, whereas what I was already learning at that time was more web development, like your
Mm,
JavaScript, your HTML,
okay.
CSS. So that's why I
Oh,
knew that
oh,
with the school, I still had to self-teach the web development aspect.
okay. So you mentioned science, physics, physical science for computer science. So now, how did you get into Unisa? Was it not compulsory? Did you just need mathematics?
So, like I said, with the majority of the universities at that time, I don't know about now, they required science because it was like it's a BSc degree. So with Unisa, they had a bridging course for the 1 year. So
Oh, okay. Okay. Girl, you were determined.
yes,
You know what?
I
I
did.
love your spirits. You
Yeah.
were determined. You didn't allow anything. So just
No,
to be clear, at this point, your parents have cut you off, your mother had cut you off, right? And you thought of this idea that, you know what, let me do this side thing, Yama website, right? So listen to this story, guys. Just listen carefully. So this girl decided in order to pay for her UNISA fees, she needs to get something that would give her money quicker. Then she started doing Ama website. Wow, I'm proud of you, and I know the village is proud of you as well. So, Tanola, then how did you get like your first formal job? At what point
first,
did you get your first formal job?
so I just based off, like I said, I was learning and coding and building projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that would just made me post all those projects online. It was like, well, back then was Facebook and Instagram. And I remember I used to get DMs like, I think you're pretty good. Do you want to join like startups, whatever? And I remember just like brushing them off, right? Because I didn't feel like
Mm-hmm.
I was actually waiting to graduate. Funny enough, I was just doing the websites, the learning the JavaScript part, just for the point of just paying for my tuition fees. I didn't think that those skills would actually land me a job. So when I
Okay.
approached, especially from like startups, like, hey, we want, like, especially because you're female and you're black, we've seen your work online. Because I would just post my projects on Instagram, like, would you like to
Right.
join? And I wasn't confident because I was actually waiting to graduate. And then
Okay.
eventually,
No, I get you.
yeah, so, and then eventually, I responded to well, I actually knew this person from high school, so I felt like maybe a bit more. So I asked them more questions, like, "Are you sure you want to hire me? Like I don't have any formal experience. Are you sure? Sure, 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 sure." He's like, "Yeah, just come to the office. We'll interview you, and then we'll see how it goes." So I get to
Oh,
the office. They're interviewing me. Yes, they're interviewing me, like, both technical. So I actually prepared for the interview. I watched a couple of YouTube videos how to prepare for a front end development interview. But so when I went there, they were actually building like an app for a company. I forgot what, I can't mention the company, but they
okay.
were, yeah, so they were building like a telecommunication application basically. And I was like, I don't think I can do this, guys. Like, this is just like big. And they're like, literally, we believe in you. We will just guide you as long as you can be committed. We feel like you are the
Mm-hmm.
perfect for this company.
So you've worked from 2019 to 2022 for yourself,
Yes.
building websites, and then in 2021 to 2023, you found your first formal job, the one that
No.
the one that we are discussing now. I can see you were not that confident.
But
You didn't trust yourself that
no,
time at that time.
no, no. So what? No. So the self-starting. I mean, sorry. The independence employment was between 2019 and 2021.
Okay, so you got your first job now. Life is good, but it's stressful. Obviously, we know startup culture. You do everything. And then, are you still studying at this point? Where are you with your studying? Like, second year, third year? What's happening?
Which year? I think I was still studying. I was still pursuing my studies during the startup. But it was really tough. Like I said, because I really wanted to prove myself into this, not only for this company but to myself, that I belong in this industry. I also obviously wanted to also do well in school, so it was really, really, really tough. But I had to make it work. But I realized that in order for me to really focus on getting a job, I wanted to take a pause on my studies, especially if I wanted to
Okay.
to transition into like a more corporate setting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, the startup experience, as brutal as it was, taught me a lot. It taught me a lot because I was so independent. I didn't have a choice. Like, there's no, in corporate, there's BAs and Scrum Masters, and then there's a tech, like,
Yes.
culture. You are everything. You are a junior, you're a mid level, you are a senior. And because I had so much duties, I was forced to learn. I remember I was always the last one leaving the office. I was always the last one leaving.
Mm.
New tool.
But that was good. How was the money?
Uh, let's not get there. It was the menu was not.
Okay.
But I'll say this as well, which I was about to say. I remember complaining to my mentor, which was also very important, which we'll get there at a later stage. I remember complaining to my mentor.
Mhm.
I'm putting in all this effort. I'm the one that's suggesting the new tools. I'm the one putting in extra work outside of work to research what tools to use. I'm the one still upskilling after hours. I'm the last one to leave the office. I remember complaining that I'm doing all of this for, like, not lots of money. And I remember he said to me, "Are you doing this for yourself or are you doing this for the company?" And I was like,
Mm.
he's like, "Do you doing this for yourself? Because wherever you go,
Yeah.
at the skills that you're leaving with. You're not doing this for the company. You may add value to the company right now, but like whenever you upskill, you're doing it for yourself. You leave with these skills that you've learned. So from that moment, I've always it changed how I looked at money and upskilling. So
Okay.
yeah, so if I need to learn
Okay.
something as I'm learning, I'm sleeping late, but like I'm not getting any peanuts done. Unless if you plan on being in that company for 100 years, then never ever look at putting in work for your self development as for the company. You're doing it for yourself.
So at the startup, you spent 2 years. How did
Mm,
you land your current role? I know you work for a big financial services company. It's not a Mickey Mouse company. It's a big financial services. How did you get this role? And I know a lot of people, especially young Black people, that they always think they can't get work because they don't have degrees.
yeah,
But then they are surprised when I'm talking to people like you. And I know even on this video, there will be people who leave comments like, unfortunately, big serious corporates, they take people with degrees. But I'm telling you now, guys, it's just that I can't mention the company. This girl is working, I think this company is even JSE listed. She's not working for a Mickey Mouse company. Hear it from me, okay? She's not working, she's got skills. This girl focused on her skills. She's got skills. It's about show and tell. So
yeah,
as you can hear, like her messaging here, she's not saying that a degree is not important. She's still pursuing her degree. So that's what I want you to get to take from this interview, from this conversation. She's not anti-degree or anything. She put her studies on pause, but she would next year. You are going back. I'll check on you in January. What's happening? I'll check on you because you have to graduate. So
yes, no,
we are here now. Tell us, I've explained what type of company you work for so that people don't get confused and thinking we are working for some dodgy company somewhere. You are
no,
working for a proper company with benefits, with
yeah.
company benefits. Sharp. How did you get this job?
Yes. So, I remember during working for the startup, like I said, I think I was still posting some stuff on it because I was still upskilling. I've never stopped upskilling. Even when I did get that job, I always knew that there's things to always learn. There's always new trends. So I would still be posting online. And I remember Miso, I'm sure you know him. He's the founder of Geek Culture.
Yes, I know Geek Culture, but I don't know the guy. But I know Geek Culture. Yes.
He approached me and it says, "Hey, we have a Women's Day special that we would like for you to be a guest at the MTN App Academy Awards recording." And I was like, and
Mm-hmm.
it's live, and I was like, "Hell no, I'm not doing that." I'm like, I'm not gonna speak live, like And I'm someone that grew up with a stutter. So my public speaking skills are not that great. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And he's like, please, like, we need you. I feel like you'd be perfect fit for this Women's Day special. So I did. So I
When
eventually,
no, wait, hold on. I'm declaring this online. I'm going to be your mentor now. From going like confidence coach or something.
yeah,
Ngikhathele when. Like I'm declaring it today. Wena ngizolokhu nje njalo ngihlale nawe ngikuthi kancane ngiyakubona.
yeah.
But anyway, qhubeka imag. Let me save this.
So I get invited to this app to be a guest to speak about my experience and how to basically encourage students to get into tech and how to just kind of guide them into coding. So
Mm-hmm.
I do this recording, which was live, which was terrifying. And I remember at first I was actually very reluctant because, like I said, I don't have great public speaking skills, and it's live, like it's one action, and then So I they loved it. It went very well, and then I posted it on LinkedIn, and then like my DMs were just like crazy, 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 crazy. Yeah, yeah. So that I think that moment kind of opened myself up to like actually I wouldn't mind a new opportunity. I really want to grow. I feel like I've given the startup as much value as I could possibly have, but I just felt like I really wanted to grow. I really wanted to I wanted to work in a company that not only has reputation, but this time around, I'm the one that's learning. I'm the one that is,
Okay.
surrounded by people who are better than me in terms of experience. Cool. So I obviously do interviews. Some of them are asking for my CV. So I didn't get obviously all the jobs. And by the way, technical interviews suck. They're just horrible. I remember my first one was not good. But with
Mm-hmm.
interviews, the more you do, the better you get. So eventually I had to
Okay.
choose. I think I had three offers. So I had to choose between this one, there was another one, a service provider. Um, the other one, the actual director of the company actually DM'd me on LinkedIn, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so from that
So
experience,
LinkedIn. So
yes,
LinkedIn
LinkedIn,
hooked you up with this job, basically, right?
yes,
But
yes,
obviously, it was from what you were always
yes.
posting online, you know.
These were just DMs. Like it wasn't like somebody DM like, "Hey, we want to give you a job." I still had to go through the process of
Of course.
interviews. I still got rejected to some of the companies, but I'm saying that it exposed myself to those companies. So like DM isn't
Mm,
enough, but I'm saying, as long as you put yourself out there, you will,
mm.
your name will be amongst the names discussed if people want to, hire.
And also, in tech, there's rounds of interviews. I think
Yeah.
maybe you've done 3 or 4.
Yeah. And they will reject even after the fourth one. You feel like, "Ah, this is it. This
Mm,
is it." Like, yeah,
mm.
yeah.
Definitely. Which school did you go to, Tanol? Which school did you go to?
High school.
Yes.
I went to Parktown Girls and Abbott's College. It was an all girls school.
Oh, how
Yes.
was your math? I know your math was good.
Yeah, my maths wasn't like great, but it was good. It was good. I was always like a B student.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
no,
I
that's
was
good.
no, I was a top 10 in primary school, and then high school happened, and
Yeah, it happens to
yeah,
all of us. By the
yeah.
time you get to grade 10,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like
exactly.
how
Grade 11, yeah.
what happened to
Grade
my
11.
podium? I
Yeah,
used to be a
yeah,
podium girl.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah,
but
it
I've
happens.
always been like this one thing that I learned from my mom. My mom always used to say, "You cannot be defeated by something that doesn't speak."
Mm,
There's
mm.
nothing that like it
So,
doesn't speak. Like why would maths or why would this thing defeat you? So I've always been somebody that had the mentality that also I also had that mentality that like if 10 people are good at it, like why can't I be good at it?
mm. No,
Yeah.
speaking
Yes.
of your mom, like we've forgotten about her, but you mentioned her earlier that she cut you off. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, mom. Hi, mom.
Yes. Back to mom.
What
Yes.
what's
Yes.
happening now? How is the
So
relationship? How does
obviously
mom feel?
now, yeah. So obviously, and also tech is not, well, in my mom's generation, like living
Mm,
off a laptop does not make sense. They used to
mm,
pencil skirt, go to the office. So I'm
mm,
not building websites on my laptop. She's like, "You're on your laptop the whole day," And then now I get this first job, and she's like, "Oh, okay, so you're serious, like." You're actually learning and you're actually committed to improving yourself. So I think now, funny enough, after my so-called not success but whatever you call this, my
success.
younger cousins are now trying to pursue a career in software programming because of me. So that's crazy.
Good.
It's like a
Hi,
full circle. I
cousins.
went from like being the black sheep to the golden child. Yeah.
Uh, you know what, Taniolo, I know it's very tough to study through Unisa, like
Yeah.
not just Unisa, but distance learning.
Yeah.
It's tough,
Mm-mm.
especially for a course like
Yeah.
computer science. I know right now you've put it on pause and you are definitely going back next year.
Mm.
Tell us, what advice would you give students who are studying through Unisa?
So for me, obviously, because I had was really understood the culture of self-starting and self-teaching, Unisa was not that difficult. I think the only thing that I had to really manage was the time. But in terms of the discipline, the consistency, I was really used to that because, like I said, I was really self-teaching in programming. So the first thing is you need to be self-motivated. Like that's if you're not self-motivated,
Mm,
you will slack because there's nobody coming to you. There's no one that's going to be like, why weren't you in lecture? Like if you are not a self-motivated person, then you will struggle, right? So you need to manage your time properly. So you know, after work I can only manage 30 minutes of work, or I can only manage 2 hours per week of,
mm,
of, of studying. Or, okay, cool, I don't have time during the week, so I need to spend my Saturdays learning. So you need to
right.
sacrifice like anything in life. If you really want something, then you
Mm,
need to sacrifice. So, but I would say distance learning is for people who are self-starters. People are self. So if you struggle, if you're someone that needs to be motivated, hey, did you do this? I think maybe try the more traditional. But if you know that if you want something, if that's enough motivation for you to get up, then I think you should, yeah, self learning shouldn't be difficult at all.
right. This is a frequently asked question, or not question, but comment that I see
Mm,
under these videos. And I know even this video will have it.
is it? Yeah,
I'm struggling. I'm struggling to get work or internship.
yeah,
And then you tell people you need to do projects.
you do.
You've done this. So when you are the queen of this, you must tell
Yeah,
us what type of projects, right? And after this, I need us to maybe, even if it's someone that is doing a degree, ukuthi
mm,
imaphi mhlawumbe ama-platforms, which platforms can they
mm,
use to gain more skills?
mm,
But tell us projects besides a calculator or weather app, what type of
yes.
projects?
So projects are probably, especially if you have no experience, that's so so basically formally we call a portfolio. But projects are probably the best way to get formal, unless if there are obviously graduate programs, but projects will make you stand out, right? Even if you have no degree, you could be competing with people who have degrees. And
Mm-hmm.
they will obviously be more favorable in some companies. But if you have a project, you can prove that, hey, I've learned all of these skills and look how I've used them. You will stand out
Mm-hmm.
better than somebody who's never built anything before. So what I would say, I would advise is, um, so what I used to do is I would clone existing applications or platforms, right?
Yeah.
So online they'll tell you weather app, notes app, whatever. Boring, it's been overdone, you won't stand out. So I would advise is after you've learned a language or a tool, right? Just clone something that exists. I think I cloned Twitter. I've also cloned Facebook. I've seen someone on LinkedIn who actually got attention from AppSA. He cloned Takealot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you've used or whatever you've learned, right? Try and use that very skill, cloning something that exists. It could be something that you like. It could be cloning an EPL. I know if you're a guy, you can clone the EPL website.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just do extra than what is required of you, right? The second thing is, like I said, I also learned how to code on FreeCodeCamp.org. And with FreeCodeCamp, they give you projects to build after each section, right? And the first project you build on FreeCodeCamp is a tribute page, right? They tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who the guy was, I don't know, right? But that was boring to me, right? I'm like, how do I make this fun for myself? And how do I learn, right? So I was like, let me create a tribute page for someone that I actually would want to, read about. So I created a tribute page of John Basquiat, who's a famous American painter. And at that time, I was also looking, like I said, I was also a creative. So there is this website called Awards. So Awards is this
Mm-hmm.
website, applicable platform that showcases the best web designing applications in the world, right? and it's based in
Mm-hmm.
Europe, and the design scene in Europe is far ahead than what we had in South Africa. So I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
want to do what they're doing, like whatever they're learning, I want to do that. So I would then pick up
Yeah.
all the tools that they were using, whether it's a new animation library or whether it's a new framework. So FreeCodeCamp will tell you, hey, build this stupid page, very boring, very straightforward, and I would say no, I want to use something that is already existing in the real world, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I would go on awards and see that this guy created this crazy animation, and I'm like, how did he create that? How did he create that? So I would literally go on YouTube and Google, I want to how do you create, I don't know, a rotating clock, right? And then because
Right.
yes, and then I would get a tutorial. This is how you create a. Like, you would tell you the function to use. That's basically how I learned how to code by building a project, but also going beyond the scope,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's
Mm.
also what made me stand out. And also, I remember when I did my interview with the company that I'm right now, they were like, "Your portfolio." I actually added a game in my portfolio. I'll share it with you. I added a snake game. So while you're going through my
Okay.
portfolio, you can also play a game. And he was telling me how
Okay.
at the office, while they were going through my portfolio, they were all actually taking turns to play the snake game on right. So
Wow.
that made me stand out. Yeah, so don't just do the boring. Even if you're building something very simple, like I was building a portfolio, very simple, but I was like, how do I stand out? Right, this is a big company. I'm sure they get lots of um applicants. How do I stand out? And like, let me create something interactive for them. And then, but then I was inspired by this from from seeing other people doing this from that website called Awards.
Right.
Yes, so
Wow.
projects are important, but don't just do what is required. Always show people that, yes, I know how to do this, but I can do it better, or I'm more creative, or whatever it is. But just go beyond. But
Beyond.
the
No.
other thing that will make you stand out when you're building a project is build something that you want to build, that you want to use.
Use.
Right.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be
Mm.
a weather app or notes app. If you for right now, right, you can build, I know it already exists, but you can build a load shedding app, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just build something that is also not just for learning practical skills, but also an app that you yourself would use. So that would also
And
make
also, I
you
think
say,
coding, how I see it, programming, coding, it's
yeah,
about solving problems.
yes,
You must
exactly,
display
exactly,
how you can solve a
exactly,
problem.
yes, 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 and
You know?
you never ever stop building projects until you get that first job that never stops. If you have to build 20 projects, so be it. You never ever stop building projects ever. And I think people underestimate the amount of work it takes to teach yourself how to code. I used to code like 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day, every single day until I got that first startup project, I mean job. I used to code every single day.
Okay.
Every single day.
That's all.
Literally, yes. And there's also another tip is there's also like a Twitter hashtag called 100 days of code, where you
Mm-hmm.
commit to code for 100 days. That also helps to pick up like a certain skill or language. But yeah, you have to
Mm-hmm.
build. As soon as you learn something, you build it. If you've learned CSS, use CSS. If you've learned JavaScript, use JavaScript to build something. Right? And
Mm. No, yeah,
yes, yes. Don't wait
that
till
makes sense.
now you want a job. Now, no. The moment you learn something, you like
Build.
immediately after build it. Use that skill to build it. Don't wait till the very end. The moment you learn something new, use that skill to build it.
Gail, thank you so much for your time. I know this village will find value in this content. Guys, Tano will come back to this video, okay? She'll come back to this video and engage with you, ask her questions. She will respond, okay? If there's something that you feel maybe we didn't cover, maybe you want us to do part two, just leave it in the comment section. She will definitely. This one is friend of the village now. She'll be coming back frequently.
Yes. Yes.
Please say your goodbyes. Say bye to the village.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope the conversation that we had was impactful, and I want to be back.
Very,
Yes. The more I
very,
learn, the more I
very.
want to share. So I'll be back because I'm still learning as well. So I'll be back to share my experience and the more that I've learned along the way.
Thank
So
you
thank
so
you for
much.
having me. Bye.
Bye. Guys, we've come to the end of this video. Please like and share it with someone that might need it. And if you are someone that needs a guide about getting into the tech industry, I've curated a guide that focuses on software development, software testing, digital marketing, data analytics, and cloud engineering. So those are the 5 professions that I'm talking about. So what's in the guide is where to study, where to do your projects, how to do your projects, where to network, where to meet like-minded people, and most importantly, where to do your internships. If you don't have a degree, this guide would suit someone who would like to transition into the tech industry, okay? Or someone that maybe can't get into computer science or any IT related degree and they would like to take this path. What's not included in the guide is information about companies, okay? I do not mention companies on the guide, but I have links because there's a lot of information that we share on these videos and there's just links everywhere. So each and every section will have its own links to different things. That's what you'll get from the guide. Also, you'll be able to be part of our community. Our first meeting is on the 5th of January. Yeah, we are meeting on the 5th of January where you can connect with like-minded people, and from time to time I'll be bringing guests to chat to you, where you'll be able to speak to them live. Otherwise, guys, Tea with the Village will be back in January 2025. Just enjoy old episodes and payslips for now, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.